You're listening to Amazing Spider-Man Chronicles, episode 67, featuring Amazing Spider-Man number 211 and Uncanny X-Men number 140 from September 1980. Hello and welcome to the 67th episode of Amazing Spider-Man Chronicles podcast. I am your host, Pat, aka DJ Christatos. Amazing Spider-Man Chronicles is a podcast that will journal the Amazing Spider-Man comic book issues read chronologically by their release date, along with another comic from my comic book collection, either in digital, in a trade, or from the many long boxes stashed away in my basement. Each episode will provide short recaps and reviews and ratings of the issues for that release date. The goal is to keep me actively reading through my collection and having some fun along the way, talking about them with my friends. And speaking about my friends, joining me today for this episode is Jared Albrecht, aka Death Pro.
Oh, well, hello, Pat. Hello.
Hello.
This week, something interesting happened. My neighbor, he put a small device that doesn't really do anything, to my knowledge, in my backyard. It's about the size of a grain of sand. And I just went to war with him over it. So, seemed like the logical thing to do.
Yeah. Oh, well, of course, as you would.
Yeah. Like, how dare you put this almost unnoticeable size device in my backyard that does nothing to bother me? So we fought. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Rallied the troops, everything. It's ongoing.
Yeah. Makes sense. I hope things work out for you and, eventually you will get the dispute taken care of and
we'll see.
We'll see.
I went to the, Prince Namor School of Leadership, by the way. I don't know if that's related to that story.
And me think, I'm like, what is he talking about? And then I'm like, oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he has a big kingdom and it's like, can we put this one thing here? And it probably, no!
He has the entire ocean. Like you wouldn't find that thing if you were looking for it. It doesn't do any harm, but he doesn't want it.
Look, Mans is bored, okay? He just need an excuse.
He's got to do what he's got to do. So he's got to protect his kingdom, and that's what he's doing. Can't blame him for that. Well, let's go ahead and say hello to Delvin the Dark Web Williams. Hello, Delvin. How are you?
Great, Pat. How you doing?
I'm doing good.
I have a story to tell. I dated this girl once. Her name was Wendy. She was tall, a little bit hairy, possibly like to eat human flesh, but that's neither here nor there. She treated me very, very kindly. And for whatever reason, things didn't work out and she left me. So I guess the point of what I'm saying is Wendy come, Wendy go. Look, just
I crafted a giant analogy, and we're gonna give it to him for Wendy come, Wendy go. That's what we're doing here. This is who we are now.
Look, just know that I was constructing this joke for probably like. I was like, how am I going to make Wendy come, Wendy go work? And right as I was going to go get water, I was like,
see, and I wasn't know where you were going with it. And now it makes my comment that I wanted to say to you really not work at all.
It's okay. I'm sorry.
I just destroyed the show for that one joke. Kind of worth it. So whatever.
I'm just going to ask this if Wendy was leaving because she had to go, work with her dad, but her dad makes really good sandwiches.
That's true. Very, very tasty. But this Wendy was white haired and not red haired.
Not the redhead. Okay.
Yes.
Even though where they're from, they didn't make slushies, with that.
It's possible. I mean, they have plenty of ice up there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Definitely. Well, all right. Well, Delvin, thank you for, I guess you had us. Yeah, you had me, and then you reeled us in. I was like,
when to come,
Well, why don't we go ahead and get started? But before we do, we want to make sure that we let you guys know that you can always give us a call or leave us a voicemail for any comments that you want to tell us. If you like the show, go ahead and tell us. If you got a comment about what we've covered in the show, or join us live too as well. But if you want to leave us a comment, you can leave us a message at 707-532-5269. That's 707-532-LBOX.
Pick up the phone. Those are my Stevie Nicks voice.
Yeah, that sounded really good. I mean, it's really good when you lose your voice. You can, yeah, it's getting to sound like me, like, hey, baby, hey, Wendy.
You better watch out. That's all I'm saying. He's dangerous.
It is. All right. Now, before we get started with this episode's issues, let's take a quick podcast promo break, and we will be right back.
Spider-Man and the Cupcake Caper.
Peter Parker is in Mary Jane Watson's apartment when suddenly he sees a familiar enemy.
MJ, you'll have to excuse me for a minute.
You have this thing, Tiger, and I hate it. Every time there's trouble, you disappear.
Relax, MJ. All I want to do is get some milk you have with these Hostess cupcakes.
Sure, Peter. Anything to avoid reality. But at least this time, you left me with a really delicious snack. Devil's food cake, chocolate, king creamy filling.
I hate having Mary Jane think I'm a coward, but there's no other way I can slip into my Spider-Man role. And only Spidey can handle Man Mountain Marco. Don't look now, Marco, but the mountain just became a molehill.
Webhead, we don't understand you, but we sure appreciate the help.
Thanks, guys. Meanwhile, I've got a quart of grade A to deliver. Sorry it took me so long, MJ, but I got a little bit distracted. Yeah.
Well, no sweat, Peter. The Hostess cupcakes you left me with were a lot more rewarding to me than you ever been.
Brother, if she only knew.
You get a big delight in every bite of Hostess cupcakes. Welcome back from the break. Now let's get to the first featured comic for this episode, and it is Amazing Spider-Man number 211. Woo! The credits for this issue are provided by Mike's Amazing World of Comics website. Publisher was Marvel. It's got a cover date of December 1980, but its on sale date was September 9th, 1980. Cover price is 50 cents. Editor was Alan Milgram. Writer is Dennis J. O'Neill, and penciler John Romita Jr. Inker goes to Jim Mooney, and letterer is James R. Novak. This was reprinted in Essential Spider-Man Volume 10 trade paperback, and you can also find it on Marvel Masterworks Volume 268, which featured Amazing Spider-Man Volume 20, and it's also on Marvel Unlimited. So we hope you read along with us through either one of those ways and have fun with us. Cover credits go to John Romita Jr. as the penciler, and inker is the one, the only Alan Milgram. And speaking about the cover, Jared, go ahead and give us a cover description.
Sure thing, Pat. The Marvel Comics Group banner is red with white letters like a diver's flag. Spider-Man is swinging in the ocean blue corner box. The Amazing Spider-Man logo is yellow with red highlights like a seaside sunset. With the webs, water webs, I guess. My theme ran out just then. The main action depicts Spidey standing on the smokestack of a large seagoing vessel, and he's getting straight up punched in the gills by a soaring through the sky Prince Namor as the Atlantean Prince proclaims, "No one may attack the Submariner's underwater kingdom, not even you, Spider-Man." And that's about it for my fishy cover description.
I don't have anything to say. I don't have any wish.
Something will bubble up, Pat. Don't worry.
Yeah, I guess I don't have any witty kind of, fishy comment on that. But I'm still thinking about that Delvin Wendigo thing.
You know, sometimes.
Sometimes bits come, and sometimes bits Wendigo.
You had the fish thing, you had the Wendigo thing. It wasn't on the same scale.
No. Oh, well, if you want more bits like this, folks, tune in to the Longbox Crusade. See what
He called them bits boats. It's kind of a joke in and of itself.
These bits and boats, they don't get better. It's true. It's about the same quality throughout.
All right, well, let's go ahead and get some quick cover thoughts on this, and we will start with Delvin. What's your thoughts on the cover?
For some reason, this cover just strikes me. I like it. I like it a lot. You know, you got Namor just like, it looks like he's coming in from the water, just a whack. It's like knocking the heck out of Spidey. You know, Spidey in his history of smokestacks, lucky, you know, like four Spideys didn't pop out and started attacking Namor, knowing his history with the smokestacks.
That's a good one.
Thank you, sir.
You're on fire today.
So I remember just seeing this cover, like, and sometimes, you know, I'm going searching for whatever issue we were talking about. Every time if I randomly saw that look, it's like, ooh, it just captured my attention. So John Romita with a beauty on that, because, you know, you got Namor coming in at a rakish angle, dare I say, and Spidey being attacked, and you got the proportionate of the smokestack and like the people below looking at the fight, because who wouldn't look at a flying fish man hitting, you know, Spider-Man on top of a smokestack? Everyone would. And then and there was still enough room for the logo and the webs. So, it is trending towards very, very high caliber territory for me. What about you, Jared?
I'm right there with you. You said everything I was thinking. You even included the words rakish angle, sexy erotic Namor, I think you said.
I didn't say that.
Oh.
I just said Namor.
Oh.
I was thinking it, though.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, you know what? I want to be serious, though. I mean, he is sexy, but I think Namor is just a really cool character design, and it's ridiculously simple. But some of my favorite covers, like all-time covers, have got Namor on them. Like, just something about him. He's a powerful, striking image. Like that John Buscema cover where he's just standing there, arms out, holding the trident. You know, we don't have to pull it up. You know what I'm talking about. It's one of my favorite of all times. The one where he's fighting Tiger Shark on the cover. I think that's another John Buscema. Like, just the two of them going at each other. I love it. And it works here. I guess it's because especially if you know the character, he's very overly aggressive. So you just know something's about to go down. And here we see it going down. Like, how you going to fight Spidey? He's a nice guy, right? But it's Namor. So, you know, there'll be a reason.
He'll find a way.
Yeah, he will. And you know what? Back to our friend, the color wheel. Red, it's enhanced by green. So those green trunks against Spidey's red outfit, like it just all comes together. Like Delvin said, rakish angle, action pose, John Romita, $10 Al Milgram, as some people call him. It's all together. And it's just a book. You see that on the spinner rack. You're like, oh, I'm picking that up. So yeah, I'm with Delvin all the way. What about you, Pat?
You know, you guys have said everything I was just thinking as well, too. And I think, you know, what makes Namor so interesting is that he's just a striking character, his design, you know, and he can pull off, you know, how can this guy just pull off this outfit, which really isn't there in an outfit? It's just this guy in some trunks, right?
Trunks and bracelets.
Yeah.
Every time I wear that, people ask me to stop.
He's that guy that's really fit and, you know, muscular and just like, he's a guy everybody wants to be like and look like. So I think that's what just makes him so interesting.
His eyebrow game.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, he's got that straight, I got that good flat top hair like that. And it's just all perfectly. It's got to be something in the water, you know, something like this.
Why do the wings work too? The wings seem like they should be corny, but they work.
Yeah. Exactly. You know, it's just like, well, yeah, that's why he flies. That's how he can fly now, you know?
Doesn't even make sense.
No, it doesn't.
It just does. So having that rakish angle going on, Spider-Man kind of falling like that back. And I think what's also really good about it is that, you know, Spider-Man's arm is up like that, but it's covering up the Amazing Spider-Man logo as well, too. So they kind of put that in there, gives you some depth. Yep, definitely.
Yeah, it makes the 3D effect almost.
Yeah, this is a very interesting cover to look at. Since we've talked enough about the cover, let's go ahead and get into the ratings on it. Here on Amazing Spider-Man Chronicles, we have a 1 through 5 rating system. 5 is you loved it. It tickled your tummy feathers, or should I say ankle feathers?
Nice touch, Pat.
Thank you. Good one, Pat. Good one. 4, you really liked it. 3, liked it. 2, didn't like it. And 1, you hated it. It ruffled your little tummy feathers and your little ankle feathers too. You got them all boned up and you couldn't do anything. It's like, you know, somebody put socks on you and you're like, oh, I can't wear socks.
Wow.
Yeah, you see like there's an oil spill and you see the videos of like the sad birds covered in.
Yeah.
That's how you feel when you see that ankles
all covered up. Yeah. Oh, now I gotta clear that image out of my.
Don't be sad. It'll be all right.
Yeah. I'll clean them out with some Dawn. It'll get it all done.
There you go.
All right. Well, now let's find out how we want to rate this cover. So those watching, let us know what your thoughts are on the cover as well. What are you going to rate it? 1 through 5? And we will start with Jared.
I feel like I'm stealing Delvin Thunder because of the enthusiasm that he brought in here. But you know what we say? A 5 is like, it's poster worthy. You hang it all. I'd hang this on the wall in a heartbeat. This is like Marvel Comics, 1980s. I love everything about it. I'm giving it a 5. I absolutely love it.
Wow.
I just love it.
Delvin, are you with Jared on a 5 or are you going to go a little bit lower?
See, like, the thing is, like, nothing Jared said is wrong. And, like, I desperately want Musical Genius November here because I badly want to rate it a 4 or 5. But given a choice, given that it captures my attention, and there have been a lot of Amazing Spider-Man covers, and for whatever reason, as soon as I'm flipping through the Silver Ages, I see that, I kind of always stop and look at it. I think that alone is a reason enough for me to give it a 5. It's 5.
Ooh, it's a 5. You put me in a position. I'm like caught between two lovers.
3, 4.
Yeah, boys, let's get it up. Woo,
Yay!
5. It's a 5. Woo. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 will make you get down.
Yes.
Woo. We did
love it.
I think, this is one where I would want it on my wall because you have Namor and you have Spider-Man and you got some action on this one and it just looks really great to have hanging on your wall.
Got a smokestack. All you need is dead body in the closet.
Jason Akeen also agrees with us in the live chat. He had a 5 as well. Great cover. All right. Well, now that we got the cover description and thoughts out of the way, let's go ahead and get a story synopsis from Delvin. While attending a demonstration in radiology, high school student Peter Parker was bitten by a spider which had accidentally been exposed to radioactive rays. Through a miracle of science, Peter soon found that he had gained the spider's powers and had, in effect, become a human spider, a Spider-Man.
Stanley presents The Amazing Spider-Man.
The title of this issue is The Spider and the Sea Scourge. Namor opens up the scene by ripping open a Navy thingamabob and warning the Wakandans inside to stay off my land. My bad. Not Wakandan. Sailors. Seamen, if you will. Anyway, enter Peter Parker, who can't get any sleep because his neighbor is up singing some Wakandan music made by Wakandans. Country music. My bad. Oops. Since Pete can't sleep, he decides to go out for some swinging action. Remember the thread where Pete's girlfriend / plot device Debbie Whitman mentions her uncle by the docks? Well, Pete does, and breaks up a fight between dock workers and Uncle of Plot Device. Uncle Whitman explains his crew doesn't want to go out to play some device because they keep getting attacked and say, can Spidey help them out? Spidey is like, nope. Meanwhile, Namor gets the okay from Atlanteans to attack planet Earth again, and Spidey gets his motivation to help out Uncle Plot Device from Plot Device herself and Queen Mother Ramonda, Aunt May. I meant Aunt May, and finally, the fight is on. Spidey, through the use of smarts, gets the better of Namor, and through the use of diplomacy, gets Namor to peacefully come up with a solution of where to place the thingamabobs instead of drowning burning Zana. That's the capital city of Wakanda, and has nothing to do with anything here. Wakanda forever! Back to you, Pat.
Thank you, Delvin. I was wondering if something like that may have gotten woven in here as at this time of this recording, Wakanda Forever has just come out. And if you haven't seen it, go see it. I've seen it.
Did you like it?
Oh, yeah. Very good.
Okay. I know Jared hadn't seen it.
I was watching Airwolf the other day.
Oh my God.
So yeah, definitely a good movie. And was just really interesting timing that we're reading this and also that movie's coming out with Namor in it. So let me know what you think. All right. Well, now that the story synopsis is out of the way, let's go ahead and get into the bric-a-brac for this issue. Is it a first read or a reread, Jared?
This was a first read for me.
Delvin?
Also a first read for me, Pat.
It's a first read for me, too. Woo! We are on a roll. Reading rainbow. It's a reading rainbow.
Hang on, I got to address something in the chat. Someone said that Blue Thunder is better than Airwolf. And as far as, the movie is better than the TV show, but if we're comparing TV show to TV show, Airwolf, the TV show, is better than Blue Thunder, the TV show. Welcome to Choppercast.
Choppercast. Hey, there you go. Thunderwolf. Oh, you know, Tony, we're
there
also
you go.
Add shows to the network.
Thunderwolf.
You can add Thunderwolf, and then you and Jarrett review. Jarrett brings in Airwolf. You bring a Blue Thunder. And,
I like it. I like it.
Two choppers enter. One chopper leaves. And then, you know what? Siskoid can make a letterbox of all the, the episodes you guys compare together. So it'd be very cool. Woohoo! I see some rainbows in the chat. Awesome. Thank you for those rainbow love out there in the chat. I like to
yes,
see it.
Indeed. The reading rainbow.
Somebody, I think it was Elbin Everest mentioned earlier in the chat that, it's a LBC bingo and we've hit a few of those already. So
he made a good comment in the chat too. He said, I hope Namor's as calm and rational in the movie as he is in the comics, which makes me wonder, like, if he's not looking to fight every 4 minutes of the movie, I'm going to call BS.
It's like, I'm Wakandan. What? I
don't care where you're from. If you're not from under the ocean, we're fighting.
I like your wings.
You like these hands?
All right. Well, let's go ahead and get to some high-lows or what-thas for this issue. And I'm going to start with Jared. You got a high-low or what-the?
Well, man, you think I've been more prepared. It's a great issue. So I'll focus on the simple. We mentioned last time how it felt like we're getting on track with a consistent art team with Ramita and Milgram. Man, they are a good duo. I don't think we've seen a duo this good since like Ross Andrew. And it's been a while. Help me out.
Yeah.
Esposito.
Oh my God.
I was wondering. See, that's the center. That's the center of the whole bingo box.
Sorry, Mike. Forgive us.
But I'm serious. This is looking as good as that did. Now, can they get the numbers and consistency? I don't remember how long this run goes. But so far it's welcome and it's nice. No slight on pencilers that have been in between. They've all done, good work.
Carried the torch along.
Through. They've given us some good story arcs, but this is a really good looking, consistent crew. So that's going to be my high in round one.
I'm definitely going to agree with you on that. The artwork in here was very nice to look at and help read this thing. Kind of went through a lot breezier than what I was expecting it to be. it was really nicely done. And for me, the action in this one, it was in and out, I would say evenly dispersed through here with some of the action that happened in here. And I really liked it, especially with Namor, because just having him come in and do some stuff. I think this is the first time that, as far as we've recorded our chronicling of this, so to say, we haven't had a Namor show up yet.
Yeah. I mean, I've been picking up a lot of back issues of Amazing Spidey, and I don't remember seeing Namor on any covers of Spidey before issue 211. So this might be a first, which it probably was one of those where people looked around as like, Spidey and Namor ever been in a comic book? It's like, Spidey's been in a comic book with everybody. How's he not been in with Namor? All right, yep, work it up.
That may be part of why I gave it such a high score. It's like, it feels like a rarity, like a really good rarity.
Yeah, definitely agree. Delvin, you got a high, low, or what the?
I'm going to go with a very quick what the. Like, do either of you guys have like the issue itself?
Nobody
do
likes
not
to show off.
I got the whole CD collection.
Yeah, but both rarities and CDs nuts. But yes, the reason why I bring it up is I was looking, and I'm glad that Mike's Amazing World had it, because if you look through the book and flip through the pages, there's no cover credits.
There's no credits of any kind.
There's no credits of any kind.
Yeah, I read it on Unlimited, and same.
Yeah, I was wondering, did they fix it? Because I was like, how? Especially such a very good book that was well drawn and stuff, and the editor just let that some gun go without any like credits of anything whatsoever. Craziness. So yeah, that gets my first what the like.
Yeah, I did notice that too. That was weird.
Yeah, there are not many times I've ever read a comic book where I've seen that before. So that was something.
All right. Well, I think I've said my high in there as well too. So let's go ahead and do another round of a high, low, or what the, and we'll go back to Jarrett for round number 2.
I feel like, since I complimented the art, I want to compliment the writing a little bit. Denny's been on the book for a little while, and I think we commented earlier about, especially when we got to like Silly Spidey, how it didn't quite feel like he had a grasp. Like, I'm not trying to say anything negative about it. Like he just got into the Spidey world and is kind of figuring out how I want to use this guy. And I thought he had some really good humor in this one that we'll see in the Silly Spidey segment. I'm quite certain. As the art team is coming together, it feels like Denny is really getting his feet wet and really getting a hold of Peter. I love the scene with him and Aunt May. That felt really good. I think it's all coming together.
I agree too. With the story that was woven in here, just adding on again the other building of little stories that are happening, and the callback again to, we find out that, her uncle, he wanted something, or she wanted Peter to at least help him, but he blew it off. And then finally we find out what's happening. And now Peter's kind of stuck in a rock and a hard place on this one a little bit. And so he has to go and help the uncle out. When I'm like, man, how is he is Peter going to try to, Spider-Man going to try to do everything on this boat with just the guy?
Ahoy there, I be Spider-Man.
I'm like, I don't know if that would really work out, but maybe he's got some skills. But he's strong enough to move everything. But I thought that was interesting to do. It was a interesting plot point, but there were some other things going on here as well for some other story plots that were happening. And I like that. So we got to see this, and maybe down an issue or two down the road, we'll see some of the other stuff turn up here. Like, is Aunt May going to continue being that recreational head of the recreations for the old folks home that she?
Yeah, that spins off into a 6-issue miniseries.
Yeah.
Aunt May and the Shuffleboardians, I think is what it's called.
It's funny. I like that part.
I do want to make a comment though about what you said. It was nice that Denny revisited that plot thread of the uncle, because we all were a little thrown off by that in that issue. Because she was like, maybe you could check in on my uncle. And he was like, that sounds like a you problem, baby doll. We were like, that is so not Peter Parker to do that. So I'm kind of glad we doubled back, because that felt weird back when he did that.
It did. Dylan, you got a high, low, or what the?
Like, are you looking at my shirt right now? Yes, I am. I was not listening to anything that you were saying about your Uncle Debbie. I'm sorry. That's not that's not appropriate. Yeah. I like Spidey's whole plan of attack and how he approached Namor. Like he kind of said, it's like, I've never faced this guy before. I've kind of heard some things about him, but I don't know. And he, like, from the whole duping him to following him into the smokestack that started drying Namor out and then keeping him off of the ocean. It's similar to the come out to play that Jared and I did, where Namorita got completely like walloped by Sea Urchin because she made the mistake of flying out there and she was all angry and ticked off and hadn't touched water in some time. And he flash fried her, and completely took away all of her moisture, and she was very weak. And a very similar thing happened here, to where Spidey thinned him out, and then like he tried to get away, he webbed up the wings and got him to the ground. And instead of just trying to beat him up, I was like, look, dude, can we talk? Get like what? Like, why are you so mad, dude? And to Namor's credit, Namor's like, well, this is why I'm mad. And like, all you guys had to do is move the thing about from here to here, and it's smarter anyway. And Spidey's like, okay. And Namor was like, okay. And then they were like, okay. And then
Uncle Plot Point was like, okay.
Okay. I was very impressed with that, because it wasn't just your standard beat 'em up. It was like Spidey using his big old brain to figure out how to not get hurt, but not, make sure that Namor wasn't, completely left out, in the cold either, and that everyone was safe. That to me is quintessential Spidey. It was really, really good.
What I also like, and with that, as we talk about, Spider-Man trying to figure things out, he's also got to figure this out in a more smaller environment, right? It's just him on the ship. And
he spoke to that too. He was like, this is not my element. I like having the buildings and I can use my agility and everything, and like to continue to have different angles of attack, because that is kind of where he was at his best. So that was even more of a reason for him to use his brain instead of his brawn.
Exactly. Yeah. It was nice to see that happening here with that one. And just to see him kind of go toe to toe with Namor. Namor was really, he's a strong dude.
Namor is not Hulk level strength, but he could give Hulk a wallop. And if he's in the water, he could really give Hulk a wallop. So Spidey was punching above his power class with Namor. And I think it was very intelligently handled as to how Spidey was able to get him down to size, so to speak.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's go and see. Do you guys have any more highs or lows, or what does to go around on this issue?
I guess it's worth mentioning that I like the Aunt May plot point. Like they made it a point, where Pete didn't really have any reason to help this dude. He really didn't. That's why he's kind of like, sorry, bro, not my monkeys, not my circus. See ya. And just leaves. But at the same time, when Aunt May, he went and visited Aunt May, and Aunt May was like, yeah, I may not be up to speed, but I'm really the only one who could do this. And so and sure enough, oh my goodness, I sent you guys a picture of this. This was a recent issue of Amazing Spider-Man. And somebody was asking Spider-Man about what's his motivation. He's like, and he says very simply, I can, so I do. And it's like, oh, and first of all, that's awesome on the surface. But then you look back 700 issues ago of Amazing Spider-Man, and it's still talking about the same stuff. And that's why I love my dude so much, because he has been on the same type heroic stuff, the same way for 40, 60 years at this point. And it's awesome.
Yeah, definitely very cool to have that history and go on like that. Have you guys read a lot of Namor? Have you got any of the single issues?
I've recently kind of gotten into the 90s series that John Byrne did.
Okay.
Really quite good. But that's mainly my Namor experience is probably, let's say, a dozen issues of that, because I've gotten into it over the last couple of years. I'm trying to get a full run of it, and then I'm going to give it a real solid read through. But yeah,
Okay.
I got to say it's good. I just like the character, especially when he gets a little more developed like that, where he becomes a little. I mean, he's still like a little bit hot headed, but also more
Grounded.
kingly. Is that a word?
What word?
Like I said, kingly. Like there's a word for it. Regal, maybe.
Yeah.
Something like that. He, a little more mature, a little more thoughtful, as we saw him in New Warriors when he was coaching up his cousin in the Come Out to Play episode.
All right. Well, that does make sense. This being earlier on, and then New Warriors comes a little bit later, so his probably attitude, his vision, or his focus has definitely changed by then.
Yeah, when you see him in New Warriors, it's definitely under the influence of that John Byrne era, where they matured him a little bit and made him more of a businessman and more of a diplomat.
Auburn Elvis comes in with some knowledge about the role-playing game that we played. Said Spider-Man is definitely punching above his weight class here. Namor has a monstrous strength, which is on par with the Thing, and amazing endurance, which is one level above Spider-Man's in the game. And so I was kind of close to what I was saying there. I didn't say, I was like, he's close to the Hulk, because Thing and the Hulk have fought countless times. And one of the things that makes that such a compelling battle is that Thing knows that he is overpowered by the Hulk and is like, gotta fight you anyway, because ain't nobody else here to fight you. So I'm going to fight you, which makes the Thing such a noble character in himself. So.
Yeah, I'm going to spin off of that too, but off of my love for the role-playing game now that Auburn Elvis has got me spun up. Now that we're talking about Thing and Hulk, the Thing is one strength class down from the Hulk, but I think, and Auburn Elvis can correct me, I think he has one level fighting prowess better than the Hulk. Like he has better fighting technique. And so that's kind of how he can stay in it. Like he's got wrestling moves and stuff like that, where the Hulk is just all.
He's just all. Brr.
Yeah.
So
I always thought that was. They really put a lot of thought in that role playing game, and that makes sense to me. If my memory is correct, I bet Auburn Elvis knows off the top of his head whether my memory is correct or not.
That does make sense. What you're saying, I could definitely see that, how that would be. Just his probably intellect level too are probably different.
He's probably especially when he's in Hulk mode. Thing is probably smarter.
Let's go ahead and get into the silly Spidey moments for this issue. And we'll go to Delvin. Do you have a silly Spidey?
For whatever reason, like at the start of the book, like, he rips the hole apart or whatever. And like on like page 2 or whatever, I don't know what was up with the black guy, but he's sitting there looking up all wet. It's like, why did he look so freaking beautiful?
He was really well drawn. I noticed that too.
His eyes are just haunting. Like, why did he attack me? I'm such a beautiful soul. I was like, I don't know. Your hair is so tight. But like the other thing that was kind of the silly Spidey for me was like Pete says something like, like normally I don't interfere in other people's business. It's like, yeah, you do.
Yeah. When he's looking for something to do.
Like how many books? Like we've covered like about 60 plus books now for Amazing Spidey Chronicles. And how many books started with Pete jumping into business that wasn't his? Like all
sometimes
of them?
literally through a window.
Like, I was bored. I was just peeking through your window. And hey, it was the Mysterio. What? So it was funny how he kind of played that card like, I don't want to jump in anybody's business. Like, that's all you do, Pete. I love you, but that's
another sign that Denny is just learning this character.
Yeah.
Definitely. Jarrett, what's your silly Spidey moment?
First of all, I thank Auburn Elvis for backing up my memory in the chat. My memory on that was correct. But my silly Spidey moment is got to be, I bet we picked the same one, Pat, when he tried to leave the house and orange pinstripe pants. And went back inside to change. That was just a good little sight gag.
Yeah.
That was it was funny. And it worked too, because he was tired. He even said it. I just got to get out of the house. And he had to, that was funny.
What really sells it too is the way they did the art. Like they got him in Spidey, I'm about to launch cool pose, but he's wearing the orange pants.
Yeah.
And then they used kind of the same pose the next panel, and he's just looking down like, zooms back in. So it's like, it was just really well executed.
What's funny though, and it got me thinking when I saw that page, I'm like, okay, this is going to be my silly Spidey. But what's even funnier is like, so is those just like Spidey socks?
Yeah, we had that debate. Remember when he was wearing the robe that one time?
Yeah.
And his friends came over?
Yeah. Does he have, is there is his leggings or I don't know what you want to, I'm not a superhero, so I don't wear these kind of equipment. So I don't know what you would call them, but did he just keep the Spidey socks on or did he actually have the Spidey, pants on underneath it?
I got to think they're Spidey socks. I think between this and the time he was in that robe,
their socks, like leg warmers, does he have like Spidey leg warmers? Leg warmers. For the colder winter in time.
When he goes to jazzercise.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, that was mine too. That silly Spidey moment. There was not a lot of quippy stuff in this one, so it was hard to really pick something else out here. He didn't even use, the typical words that I would, my trigger words that I would like to see. But I like that one. Good sight gag. I like. And
they did keep that one gag once he got hit with that brine, like how he was like itchy throughout.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So that was kind of fun too. But yeah, the pinstripe pants is a winner. And according to Auburn Elves in the chat, they are socks.
Ah, okay. Socks without the pants.
So that is documented that there is a seam there, I suppose.
That is definitely good to know. It's always good to know your superhero's wardrobe. And how it operates.
Yeah, I mean, in New York, when it gets real hot in the summertime, you're gonna want those options. You want to, peel off them socks and
you
cool it down a little.
You want that breathable to go through, but also you want some of that to protect you too. So it's, oh man, that brine. What did he smell like? Didn't anybody smell that brine on him? Like all I can think is like he smells like pickles or something.
Yeah, or like cod.
Maybe he washed it off or tried to. We probably could get the smell off, but I guess he couldn't get the itchiness. I didn't know that brine was itchy, but then again, I've never been covered in brine. So.
I learned that. I just always thought it was like heavy salt water, but I
suppose. Yeah.
Right, you brine a Thanksgiving turkey.
I have brined a turkey before. It was pretty good. Siskoid mentions in the chat, is it pinstripe pants or are they corduroys?
Ooh.
That's a great question because this is the early 80s, so I think he's right. Odds are they're probably corduroys.
I'm going with corduroys too, just because I want to hear that.
Yeah, just swinging through the city.
Yes.
Spider-Man, we knew you were coming. We heard you too much.
Your legs have to be burning up right now. They are. Right? I lost 400 calories just in those 2 blocks.
And then every metal thing I touch, I'm getting shocks on. Like, oh man. Oh, that is a good one. Good one, Siskoid. Good one. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get to the ratings on this issue. Again, as a reminder, it's a 1 through 5 rating. Is 5, you loved it. It tickled your ankle feathers. 4, you really liked it. 3, liked it. 2, didn't like it. And 1, you hated it. It pinched and covered up your ankle feathers.
Put web fluid all up in them and everything.
Yeah. Ooh. All sticky. Ugh. I don't like it. Delvin.
I give it a 4. It was very good. And I'm happy that we are out of that rough patch of Spidey where it felt like it was a little bit directionless and they were kind of getting over that Amazing Spidey 200 hangover. Mm-hmm. And I'm surprised that Jared didn't mention it, but it's very pleasant, right? That you got a cover and the insides that's drawn by the same person. Cause you couldn't get that with Keith Pollard. Keith was like, you're either going to get the covers or you're going to get finishes, so it's cool. We're seeing a consistent art direction from Spidey and a consistent story direction, and don't know where it's headed yet. Don't know where it's trending at this point, but this was a good standalone story, even if it doesn't build on anything else. So very impressed. It's a 4.
Nice. Jared, are you going to match him, go higher or go lower?
I am going to match him. It's a 4 for me as well. It wasn't a huge reveal of the Hobgoblin or anything like that, but it was fun. It was entertaining. Like you mentioned, it was breezy. Mm-hmm. I got to give a shout out to somebody in the chat, and I want to say it was Tony Pennington. This was way back earlier in the episode, who made a joke about how Peter probably smelled like that cologne that Kramer invented.
I saw it. That was very funny.
Because I saw Siskoid mention in the chat, he smells like he came home from the beach. So I was like, somebody earlier in the chat today made that Seinfeld joke, and I want to give credit.
Know what he smells like? Know what he smells like? Night's Fire.
Midnight Spire. Yes.
But yeah, I'm going to give it a 4. I got derailed there in the chat, but the chat is so much fun today. You guys are awesome. But yeah, 4.
All right. Well, let me tell you this, guys. Boom, boom, aka laka laka boom. Boom, boom, aka laka boom, boom. Open the door, get on the floor. We're going to rate this issue a 4. Boom, boom, aka
Love it.
boom, 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 aka laka boom, boom. Woo! Oh, I got to get into that one. Oh, that's
Pat was like, you know what? I'm taking this all home. You don't have to help me. I got this one. I got this one.
Oh, I thought we were doing our own sound effects this time around, weren't we? Jazz it up in the post. All right. Well, with that, we can get into our newest segment. Ooh, brought to you by a Crusader Club member himself, and he's in the chat. It's called Karma Count with Albert and Elvis on Amazing Spider-Man 211.
I guess I'm your karma, and I love it. I can't get enough of it. There's nothing above it.
Hi Crusaders, this is fan of the show Auburn Elvis, and from time to time on the Longbox shows, the question of, can these superheroes improve their strength by working out, comes up. Well, according to the 1984 Marvel superhero role-playing game, they can. But it ain't easy. In the game, heroes gain and lose karma points for how heroic their actions are in the game. Karma can be saved up over time and spent to improve a hero's ability score. Improving the ability costs 10 times its current score. So, if Spider-Man wanted to improve his strength of 40 to a 41, it would cost him 400 karma points. And to give you an idea of how long it would take Spider-Man to earn that much karma, here's how much karma his actions in this issue would be worth. In Amazing Spider-Man 211, Peter has a humorous scene as he decides to go out for some late-night web-slinging. Now, good role-playing is encouraged in the game, so we're going to give him 10 karma for the music and the whole pajama pants thing. Later, at the docks, Spider-Man gains 30 karma for stopping the crew's assault on Captain Whitman, he loses 5 karma for some minor property destruction, and he gains 5 more karma since this whole encounter fulfills a commitment that he made after he disappointed Deb 2 issues ago. Later, Peter gains 5 karma for the nice visit with Aunt May and 5 more karma for showing up to help Captain Whitman once again. The issue ends with a tough battle against Namor. Spidey loses 5 karma for some damage to the ship, and while he doesn't technically defeat the Submariner, he does end the fight by reasoning with him. So we're going to give Spidey 35 karma for this, which is halfway between what he'd get for beating Namor outright and getting defeated by him. So counting everything up, Spider-Man earns a total of 80 karma in this issue. That's not too bad. And if he were to do this kind of thing 4 more times, he'd have enough karma to improve his strength from a 40 to a 41. I'm Auburn Elvis. Thank you very much for listening to this karma count. Now play us out, Joe November.
I guess I'm your karma, and I love it. I can't get enough of it. There's nothing above it.
Oh, yeah. What a fun new segment added on here to Amazing Spider-Man Chronicles. Thank you, Elburn Elvis, for doing that.
And Joe November, that beat was dope.
I know. I want to hear more of that beat. I just want to. That beat is just slamming. I like it.
Those beats are fresh.
You know, when I was thinking it too, as Elburn Elvis was going through there with the karma count, so he said Spidey would get 80 karma counts. I'm going to call them caramel counts. So that means I can eat, pieces of caramel, 8 pieces of caramel for every 10 that are.
You got the beaties, bro. You don't need 80 pieces of caramel.
Why not? If Spidey can do it, then I can have some caramel.
two or 3, and you got to go do some exercise.
Well, I guess I'll try. We'll see. Thank you very much again, Auburn Elvis, for that new segment. We appreciate it.
I'm glad we got to play it here for the people who joined us. Get a little free teaser, and Auburn Elvis did a great job.
All right. Well, that's going to bring us to the end of this part of the show. You got a comment or a question, send us an email at contact@longboxcrusade.com or make a comment on the Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook pages. You can also leave us a voice message that we will play later on in the show. You can leave that voice message at 707-532-5269. That's 707-532-LBOX.
Pick up the phone.
We'll be right back.
Aquaman and Firestorm fighting crime together. Soak them down or burn them up. No one does lose their hair. They stand for truth and justice
in sea, on land,
in air. Aquaman and Firestorm, they make a super pair.
The Fire and Water Podcast, celebrating Aquaman, King of the Seven Seas, and Firestorm, the Nuclear Man.
Available at Fire and Water Podcast, Aquaman Shrine, Firestorm Fan, and on iTunes and Stitcher.
I'm one of your hosts, the Irredeemable Shag, here to talk about Firestorm. Along with me is my co-host Rob Kelly, here to talk about some guy that talks to fish.
Really? You're going to pull this crap during the promo? It's bad enough I have to put up with your shenanigans every...
Welcome back from the break. Now let's get to the second featured comic for this episode, which is determined by our Crusader Club members. Club members get to vote on this segment using the online poll only available on the LONGBOX Crusade page at patreon.com. As always, we want to thank our Crusader Club members for voting to help determine the programming for this show. If you want to get in on this voting action and all the other amazing benefits of being a Crusaders Club member, just head on over to patreon.com and search for LONGBOX Crusade. There you can join us for as little as $1 per month and help determine what each episode's second feature will be for Amazing Spider-Man Chronicles. For this episode, the Crusader Club members selected Uncanny X-Men number 140. The credits for this issue are again provided by Mike's Amazing World of Comics website. Publisher was Marvel. It's got a cover date of December 1980. Its on-sale date was September 16th, 1980. Cover price is 50 cents. Editor is Louise Simonson. Writer is Chris S. Claremont.
Esquire.
Penciler and plotter goes to John L. Byrne. Inker, Terry Austin. Letterer is Tom Orzechowski. And the Color Me Bad colorist is Glennis Ween. Woo, we are hitting it all today.
Yeah, that's definitely on the bingo sheet.
Yeah, put that down. This is reprinted in a lot of different issues. I'm just going to quickly say them here. X-Men Classic number 46, Essential X-Men Volume 2, X-Men Days of Future Past, Marvel Masterworks Volume 40 of the Uncanny X-Men Volume 5, Wolverine First Class, To Russia with Love. Ooh, interesting. Marvel Masterworks Uncanny X-Men Volume 5 and the Uncanny X-Men Omnibus Volume 2. And it's also Marvel Unlimited. Cover credits for this go to penciler John L. Byrne and inker Terry Austin. And speaking about the cover, Jared, give us a cover description.
All right, I will. The Marvel Comics Group banner is red with black letters. Orange corner box contains the heads of Wolverine, Colossus, Storm, Kitty Pryde, Nightcrawler, and Angel. The Uncanny X-Men logo is yellow with blue highlights. The main action is the Wendigo going wild. He's smacking Wolverine into a tree as he terrorizes one of the Arquette sisters as she tries to protect her baby. The background is littered with unconscious bodies like Nightcrawler, Maple Syrup Man, and Shelley Long. I'm not good with Alpha Flight members. And a text
It's
box.
okay. It's okay. You're all right.
And a text box reads, fist to fist with the savage fury of the Wendigo. And I was going to take the spin on the word fist to be my theme through this. So I Googled a lot about fists and,
probably not a good idea.
Back to you, Pat. You're on mute, by the way.
Oh. Well, you know, sometimes these bits, when they come, sometimes they when they go.
True words have never been spoken, Pat.
Yeah, definitely. All right, well, let's get some quick cover thoughts on this. And well, Delvin, what's your thoughts on the cover?
Man, John Byrne can draw just a lovely Wendigo. Like, I mean, I would never want to see the Wendigo in person because of, no. But, I mean, it's an action-packed cover for sure. I mean, Wolverine is he's going through it and like, you know, random Arquette sister, as Jared put it, is going through it. And like, you got Snowbird and Mr. Maple Syrup. Okay, it's Vindicator. And I almost said Night Thrasher and Nightcrawler. Like, all of them are out. And I mean, and that's showing you what a threat Wendigo is. It's action-packed. It's a fun cover, and it definitely shows you that it looks like the X-Men or anyone who is associated with the X-Men are in trouble. So I do like the cover very much. Pat, what do you think?
Well, Delvin, I'm glad you asked. I think I'm going to agree with you on this cover. Very action oriented. And let me just see if I can do this correctly so everybody can see it that is watching along with us. Here's the cover. I like just the action again with this. You got that Wendigo with a slash. I really like the way Wolverine is getting just kind of thrown around by the Wendigo there. Again, and then if you look on it too, his arm, just like the Spider-Man, is covering up the X-Men.
Very, very good catch. Good catch.
Jared, what's your thoughts on the cover?
Man, this cover is energy. It's got so much energy. You Byrne and Austin. And I want to brag on my boy Austin for a second, propping up the inker.
Mm-hmm.
But, I don't know if Byrne drew it out this way, but I really like how he does the heavy blacks under like Wendigo's chin, on his leg. The shadow work is just really, really good, especially when you have a character that's like white, like the Wendigo, right? So, your shadows and your shades are going to pop even more. So I like the real kind of cool and subtle way they put their names carved into the rock on the cover.
That is very cool.
And the cover just has energy, and sometimes we talk about having a cool villain on your cover. We kind of had that with Spidey on this episode. I mean, Namor's not really a villain, but they were at odds. So this is just really showcasing a villain, and I really dig it. And this one means a lot to me as well, because on one of the very first episodes of a podcast I used to do on White Rocket called Comics with Normies, I featured this issue with my friend Clint was on that episode. And the comic I had no cover. It was a coverless issue that I picked up somewhere, and Clint was like, "Oh, I want to do this one for Comics with Normies." So we did it. So I never knew what the cover looked like until we did this. But you know what? Spoiler alert. The opening splash page is freaking awesome too. But anyway, we'll get to it.
Wow. That is very interesting this was one that you covered with Clint. Wow.
Yeah. On Comics with Normies, I did this one a couple of years ago.
Now that you think about it, I do remember the conversation, at least having no cover on it. With the cover talk out of the way, let's go ahead and get into some cover ratings. Again, it's a reminder, this is a 1 through 5 rating system we use here, and 5 is you loved it. It gave you a ring to swing from. 4, you really liked it. 3, liked it. 2, didn't like it. And 1, you hated it. It turned you into a baby. We'll go to Delvin. 1 through 5 on this cover.
It's either a baby or a baby gangster. I'm not sure. I mean, I already see the prep going into the chat there, and Auburn Elvis, for whatever reason. I mean, I caught the comment that he made about Spidey, like where he was cynically, mentioning about like their cover's better before. And then he says, "That's an amazing cover. I don't care if there are other 5s out there, Delvin. This one is a straight up 5. It's a 4 to me." Sorry. It's a great cover. It is, but I'm at that. I'm kind of at that same level. Like it's a 4-5, and on this one, I'm bringing it to a 4 only because understand it's John Byrne, and he's amazing. He is so amazing that, like, if I had to stack this among one of his more memorable covers, you could probably take any random 5 of his covers and say, yeah, here, these. I picked these out of a grab bag, and these are like 5 of his greatest covers, and you wouldn't be wrong. If you pick this one, you wouldn't be wrong. But for me, it's second tier to John Byrne. 5 for any other artist, 4 for John Byrne. It's a 4 for me.
It's a strong 4 for you, is what you're saying.
It is. It's a strong 4, super strong, like flexing.
Okay.
Yes.
Jared.
I'm laughing in the chat. Auburn Elvis said, "I'm calling you out, David." And then he said, "Dang it, Delvin," because Google Voice didn't recognize the word Delvin. And then Kathy responded, "David probably gave it a 5. Oh, you guys are cracking me up in the chat. All right, Pat, let me get back to the show. Man, this is a tough one, man. I'm going to go with a 4.5. What about you, Pat?
No.
I'm there right there. It's a strong.
No. Hold on. Wait, Pat, hold.
What, Delvin? What?
LBC bylaw 1.876-subsection B says that Jared can't have it at a 4.5. Only Joe November can do that.
Oh. I know. It's a tough one.
I don't know. Maybe it's because I got a really good nap before this episode. I'm giving it a 5. I think it's, here's why. Wendigo is a cool looking character. And again, I have never seen this cover because I did my last episode when I covered this one was coverless. So to me, like the best Wendigo I've ever seen was Todd McFarlane drawing him in like those first 5 or 6 issues of Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I was like, this is better or at least as good as that. It's just captivating. Long story short, this might be the best Wendigo drawing I've ever seen. So I've got to give it a 5.
Understood. You know, when I was reading through this and looking at it too, I'm like, I remember the McFarlane run, the issues that he had with just adjectiveless Spider-Man was really awesome and good. But you are right. This is, you know, this is a front on Wendigo just kind of staring at you. And with the nails and the evil eyes and all that, I'm going to be with you too. It's a 5. I'll give it to that. This would be something that would be really cool to have hanging on my wall.
Yeah, I think we were probably all at 4.5 and just had to pick which way we were going to lean on this one. And I don't
Devin, good for you sticking to your guns. All right. Well, with the cover out of the way, let's go ahead and get into a story synopsis. And it is brought to you by Jason, read to you by Delvin.
Cyclops, Storm, Banshee, Nightcrawler, Wolverine, Colossus, Children of the Atom, students of Charles Xavier, mutants, feared and hated by the world they have sworn to protect. These are the strangest heroes of all. These are the X-Men.
Stan Lee presents the Uncanny X-Men.
The title of this book was Rage. Picking up where we left off last issue, Nightcrawler is in a desperate battle with Wendigo. Using his amazing agility, the acrobatic X-Men is barely able to stay one step ahead of the beast. Eventually, however, Nightcrawler's luck gives out and he finds himself caught in a vice-like grip of the rampaging creature. With frantic effort, Kurt manages to teleport free, but he hardly has time to catch his breath when the creature is upon him again. With a savage punch, Wendigo sends Nightcrawler flying and he slams against the wall of the cabin HQ of he and his friends. Meanwhile, inside the cabin, Wolverine, Vindicator, Shaman, and Snowbird are planning how to find Wendigo and rescue the missing camper and her daughter. The sound of Kurt's unconscious body slamming into their cabin wall makes them aware that the first part of their problem has solved itself, and they run out to face the rampaging monstrosity. The battle is quickly joined, but a resulting forest fire allows Wendigo to escape into the woods. With Vindicator and Shaman left behind to battle the blaze, Wolverine and Snowbird use their powers to track Wendigo back to his den. Wolverine must face the creature alone and send Snowbird back for the others in order to prevent the creature from eating the captured mother and child. In a fierce battle, Wolverine barely manages to briefly overpower Wendigo. When he tries to escape with the rescued hostages, however, Wendigo pounces on him again and swiftly gets the upper hand. All seems lost until his friends arrive. In a fierce melee, Snowbird ultimately defeats Wendigo by transforming into a Wolverine herself. By the story's conclusion, Shaman is able to use his magic to transform Wendigo back to his human form. Snowbird becomes closer to Wolverine after experiencing the bloodlust as a Wolverine. Nightcrawler questions Wolverine's ethics, and in a brief epilogue, the Blob escapes prison to join with a new brotherhood of evil mutants. Back to you, Pat.
All right. Thank you, Delvin, and thank you, Jason, for that very brief, but yet really detailed synopsis.
You read Chris Claremont books, you get Chris Claremont synopses. Synopses. Please don't correct me. It sickens me.
Well, let's go ahead and get into some bric-a-brac on this issue. Is it a first read or a reread? We will go to Jared.
Well, as I admitted earlier,
what was I thinking, Pat? What was I?
This was featured on Comics with Normie, so I have read it. It's a reread. I'm basically filling in for Jason.
Yes. Darn it. Elwood Brothers foiled us again.
First read for the cover. I didn't have the cover.
Delvin, is first read or a reread?
First read for me, Pat.
And it is a first read for me as well. Sad rainbow. All right. Well, let's get to some high lows or what does for this issue. And let's go to Delvin. Got a high low or what the?
I got really nothing but highs to say about this book. This book was freaking fantastic to me. Where to start? Let's go offbeat and let's go to some of the members of Alpha Flight, or one of the members in Snowbird. And Snowbird had to make the decision to turn into a white Wolverine. Yeah. And she knew the risks of doing that. And if it weren't for that, she, the battle would have been lost. Like, they had to do something that was going to completely incapacitate Wendigo. And that happened to do it. And it was very cool because it also had a great character moment with Wolverine and Logan of how he could speak to the hurt animal side, and Claremont and this shows you the man can write. Like, sometimes I definitely think he over explains. We talk about that a lot, but it shows us that he can write because it kind of said Wolverine just he's not even sure what words he was saying, but he said these words and just bared his soul to Snowbird to get her to come back to who she was. That was a really, really cool moment, and one out of many that were in the book. So that's a good place for me to stop. But that was a fantastic high for me to read.
Definitely. This one was a deeper read, of course. We're reading Claremont, but I think the character development all around for the characters involved in this one was very interesting to me to read through and just learn more about Alpha Flight and some of these team members that were involved in this one. Again, this was a hefty read, but yet it also was kind of brisk for me as well, too. It had a lot of action that was going on. You had the beginning with Kurt. We find out what was happening. And then we have the other battle with Wendigo and all the rest of the team that was them trying to, take him down, but take him down in a way that the shaman could help and, help restore the Wendigo back to the human form that it was and, kind of get rid of that curse there. Jared, do you got a high, low, or what the?
Oh, well, I'm glad you asked. Mm-hmm. I didn't read it, but if I did, I feel like Pat, I have so many things I want to say about this book. Actually, I can't.
Yeah, I would like to hear it.
I guess I'm going to go with the highest of highs, and I'll save some of my other stuff for if you give me a burning round. But highest of highs, it's another cheat, just like Amazing Spider-Man. The art in this, the cover is great, but flip over a few pages to when Wendigo attacks Nightcrawler. The big
breathtaking.
Breathtaking. What?
Yeah.
Yes, chasing them through the woods, breaking the trees. Go to page 1 with Colossus pulling that tree stump out and flexing those metal muscles, man. That's freaking awesome. That's a great drawing. There's 3 or 4 cover-worthy drawings in the story. Byrne and Austin are on top of their game. I mean, I know I complain a lot about the wordiness of Claremont, and we all know about it. And sometimes I just, especially when Wendigo's chasing Nightcrawler through, it's all this thought bubbles. And I was I just wish he would trim that down so we could really enjoy the art more. I don't think we needed as many thought bubbles. But then again, here I am, a jackass on a podcast, questioning the writing choices of a legend. And Delvin's right. Dude can write. And I'm totally on board with what Delvin said. I love that moment. That was a character moment, and he nailed it with Songbird and Wolverine. But I just kind of wish he would, in these big action pieces, trim it down so we can enjoy the art more. Nitpick from a book that's, 40 something years old, but going back to where I started, the art in this is uncanny. It's astonishing. It's some other adjective you find on an X-Men book.
Well said. Well said.
Thank you.
Definitely. Yeah. The artwork in this is just beautiful to look at. And to have that beautiful artwork and all the words that are going on here, just mind blowing to me just to see that how this turned out. And, down years and years and years down the road, people are still talking about it. People are still reading it. Just amazing. Some would say, that? Delvin, back to you for another high, low, or what the?
It's worth mentioning that another credit to Claremont that the book, the last issue ended with Nightcrawler like, kind of minding my own business. I'm doing my little reflection on Jean. I'm a little bit sad. And then he is accosted by Wendigo, and it was terrifying. And he chooses to start. It's like, well, real quick, I know what I got you on the hook for. Let's check in with the other X-Men real quick. And he manages to squeeze in some character moments with, in very few pages, with Colossus, with Angel, Professor X, Storm, Kitty Pryde, and Stevie Hunter, who is her dance trainer, which apparently is going to be I can't remember.
That's what I was going to ask too.
I can't remember, but it bothers me.
Yeah, I'm like, what's going on with this girl?
If something's telling, if Storm has something Storm's something's off about her. She's the nicest person in the world, but she some gut feeling. I don't trust her. If Storm don't trust her, I don't trust her. Let's put it that way. Yeah. Storm is about the purest heart that you're ever going to find in all of X lore. So there's something going on with Stevie Hunter. I can't remember what it is. So those few characters in a matter of pages, and then he goes immediately into the chase with Nightcrawler and Wendigo. And that was very well done, to where I'm not even rushing through it because it was good stuff, but I'm like, okay, let's get action, get to the action. But he's like, no, you need to see this. I got to keep my other characters in line. This is a team book. So let's see. Out of that, so I already mentioned Colossus, Angel, Storm, Kitty Pryde, Wolverine, Nightcrawler, Vindicator, Professor X, Snowbird, who else?
Shaman.
That's 10 characters in 20 pages. And somehow it wasn't completely clunky on top of each other. That is a fantastic job. I really am blown away by it. He managed, and then Blob at the end, 11. Yep. And Blob was mentioning someone else who came and sort of gave him the idea to do the thing to break out of prison. And we don't know who that is. So that was so much packed in, and yet it didn't feel like, you were overwhelmed with information all at the same time. It was this is the reason why when people look back upon X lore and give Claremont the credit that he does, an issue like this is the reason why.
I would totally agree. This was, again, world building, character building moments in here. It's got me interested to know, that's my what the is. Who's this Stevie? What's going on? Why does Oreo, why does she not like him or like her? What's happening? Storm, and then you got, I'll just get out of the way. Oreo and Colossus. Oreo and Colossus.
Yes.
I'd like a Colossus Oreo. They make this wants me to read ahead. And as you were kind of going through the story synopsis and what you said just before, Delvin, about, where things left off with Kirk, I'm like, yeah, I remember that issue. I remember it ending off. So that tells you something that I am really invested in, just knowing, what happened to the issue before, and go, yep, that's where we left off. Here's where we begin again. And it's been a little while since we recorded an Amazing Spider-Man Chronicles too. So for me to retain that information, that's some good storytelling.
It says something. It really does. It says, but it was such a memorable page, because I remember mentioning about seeing that page of Wendigo at the end. It's like, And even Nightcrawler was like, what the beep? Like, are you kidding me? Who could blame him? Looks terrifying, just terrifying. And they continued him looking terrifying in this book. And the other thing, I can't remember whether or not I know about the Legend of the Wendigo now. And I mentioned the movie Antlers that came out last year, and it was talking about Wendigo. And I didn't know that Wendigo had that lore, and it was about like eating, like about cannibalism. Like, that's pretty dark stuff, right? I don't remember whether or not that was mentioned in the McFarlane books or not. But like, we can see back in 1980, they were talking about this stuff. And man, like Wendigo, oof. Like strong as the Hulk, eats human flesh, and scary. Like literally scary, right?
Yeah, and the words that Claremont is using just helps describe it too, along with the pictures. Oh man, Jared, you got high, low, or what the?
Oh man, yeah, you guys are right though. You know, I pick on Claremont a lot, and I do wish he'd trim his word count a little bit, but this didn't feel like homework like some of the other ones I've given up on. You know, like don't put me back in Omicron, Crystal, dude. Don't crystal me, bro. This was still heavy on words, but it didn't feel cumbersome. It flowed well, so I will give it that.
Mm-hmm.
But I got to pick a moment in the book that I thought was pretty funny. Aurora, I have a hard time pronouncing it for some reason, chastising Kitty Pryde for using her powers obnoxiously in public when she did it herself literally 30 seconds ago. I'm like, wait, did you just?
Yeah.
Come on, Storm, be a better role model.
And I mean, and I'm sorry, I don't blame that dude. There's a literal African goddess walking down the street, and he's like, "Hey, mama, what's up? What's happening?"
You know who I immediately thought of when he did that? Remember the holler at you guy from the Chappelle Show?
Oh, yes.
That's all I heard in my head was the holla, 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 holla. Yes. But that kind of gets my what the, like she's chastising Kitty Pryde for something she did 30 seconds earlier. But I guess Kitty Pryde wasn't around to see it, so it's okay. Oh, just a minor part that made me laugh, both because of Holler guy and the hypocritical Storm who got away with it. But yeah, anyway, that's a minor note in a really good, broad story. One of my favorites we've read since we've started, folks. So, you know what? It's getting at least a 2.
Yeah. Strong 2. I had a question, and hopefully you guys can answer, or maybe those watching in the live chat can answer for me as well, too. At the end of this, we see the shutting down of Alpha Flight that happens after they just had this great buildup, right? So where does this fall in the Alpha Flight getting their series? Is it this coming close to it? Is it
I think it's around this time that wasn't Byrne pulling double duty?
I don't know.
I think that's kind of the whole reason Alpha Flight got involved in this was to pump up the. But that's going off my memory. Yeah, someone in the chat might know a lot better than me about when the Alpha Flight book really took off.
Just looked it up. The first volume of Alpha Flight went from 1983 to 1994.
Okay, so it's on the horizon at this point. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. I wasn't sure, and that's what I'm like, okay, are they disbanding them to then, get the miniseries or get the series going? Interesting to see, because I really started to kind of, feel for these characters, and I think interested in learning more about the Alpha Flight team that this is all about. So, and I had a question as we were talking about the holla guy. Now, have any of you guys been that kind of guy that would just, wear a shirt that's all the way down, unbuttoned like that? And were you that guy growing up, or could you have been?
No.
An open shirt kind of guy. You know what I mean?
No, I'm a terry cloth onesie kind of guy myself.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, even now, if I have it 2 buttons down, I'm like, no, that's 2. I got it. Maybe a 1 button down.
I can't wear a V-neck either. So
yeah,
I mean, this is a V-neck, but I gotta have a T-shirt. I can't wear a T-shirt V-neck, but just wanted interesting. It takes some manliness to to do that, and guess I'm not man.
I don't know if you want to be that guy.
Yeah, it takes a certain type of manliness that you.
But I give him credit.
Yes.
You see a woman that gorgeous, shoot the shot, you know?
Holla, holla.
Holla, holla, holla. His technique is maybe called into question, but, you know, hey. He shoot the shot. He shot the shoot. He shooted the. Let's move on.
Yes. Does anybody have any more high, lows, or what does for this issue?
One more.
Okay.
I've always liked Shaman, and as much as I clown on Alpha Flight, like I thought Chris Claremont used him very, very awesomely. So I just wanted to add that. Like it was really cool how we kind of came in the end and did that seance type thing to remove the spirit of the Wendigo from the guy to save his life. But he couldn't do it while Wendigo was conscious. They had to knock him unconscious to get that done. Total team effort, and it displayed everyone's powers. And it was also cool where, I mean, Wendigo at one point grabbed Wolverine and just like slammed him to the ground. I'm like, oh my God. Just to where they're like, that would have literally killed anyone else. But like Wolverine was able to hold tons of cool moments, but the Shaman moment was very, very cool. I like that.
Oh, agree too. That was interesting.
Yeah,
Jared.
while we're glowing up Alpha Flight members, because you know I don't know a lot about them either. I've dipped toes in here and there, but like I was impressed with Snowbird. Like, you know, let's be honest. In these very early days, you get a lot of female characters that are telepaths and mental powers, and like Snowbird has like these really cool physical powers. Now, I haven't figured out, you know, because she turned into Indiana. Is she basically like the Beast Boy of Marvel Universe? But it seems we've seen her turn into a bird, into a Wolverine, I think a bear. What a cool power set, you know, to have. She's got a lot of potential. That's what I'm trying to say. She's got a lot of cool power potential.
I'm wondering too, and not having read any of the Alpha Flight, does her and Wolverine kind of get together a little bit? Because with them
do
talking,
have some hints here, but
yeah, I mean, it seemed like they had a little connection of just, you know, because he expressed himself. She, you know.
Oh, I'm glad you mentioned Wolverine, because now I do have one more thing I did want to talk about.
All right.
I was so disappointed in Angel. Talking to Professor X, I don't know about this Wolverine cat. I'm like, he's the one that stood up for you when you jacked up the Danger Room training last issue. Remember that? He jacked it up, and instead of Wolverine being typical Wolverine and giving him a box of crap about it, he was like, don't worry, bro. You're rusty. We've got you covered. You're going to get better. Like, he was the one who was nice to him, and he backstabs him to Professor X. Not cool, Angel.
That's a good point.
Useless power having bastard.
Professor X did stand up for Wolverine on that one.
He did. And, and that, again, cool seed that was planted. He even specifically said something about Wolverine's potential for leadership.
Yes.
And I was like, man, they are peeking into the future pretty good on this one. Not too bad.
Which actually comes around to what Wolverine was saying to Kurt towards the end about, you know, the killing, and that he had to kill it, and, you know, the sins and all that. And, you know, Wolverine just said, you know, I did what I had to do, what I was asked to do this. I followed through with what I was asked to do by my superiors, and I didn't, you know, and that I'd only do it if they come at me first, or, you know, his leadership of being able to, control himself a little bit in that kind of a fight sense. Still a little hot-headed, right? But I'm sure we're going to see like you said, the potential of Wolverine becoming more of a leader. And I think that's a lot that has to do with the whole X-Men and him moving over to the X-Men team and seeing Scott as a leader, and you know, now with Oreo as the leader as well too. Storm. Storm.
We love you, Pat.
But yeah.
Yeah. Look where Wolverine is now compared to when we first got him. He was a jerk. He was a jerk.
Yeah.
He was unlikable. And Claremont has brought him along to where now they're like, no, this dude has layers. And we're just now starting to see that. And it's really cool. The development has been awesome. It really has been over the past few years, to where now Wolverine is, you know, now he's just super popular character. Everyone's just used to him being, you know, kind of a hothead, super popular, a little bit mysterious, you know, knows everyone. But, you know, this is the formation of it. And to see it is very, very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Development.
I feel it's really well done, like the Batman-Superman relationship, where they're kind of at odds, but they learn from each other. They take the good qualities from each other. I see that here, like with him and Scott. I know I talk about Ninja Turtles a lot, but Wolverine is definitely Raphael and Scott is definitely Leonardo, and they need each other to be their best. And we're seeing that play out in quote unquote real time 40 years later, but we're reading it now.
Yeah.
And so, good job, Claremont. I don't compliment Claremont enough. Good job, Claremont, of not only developing him, but showing who Wolverine has surrounded himself with is how he's picking up these traits to be better. And I think that's cool.
Yeah, definitely. And I just want to give a shout out to Siskoid in the chat that he says that he remembers in Alpha Flight #1, they said that they were now working outside the government control. So they were kind of getting back together just to do their superhero stuff again. So interesting.
I'm going to keep it rolling for Siskoid in the chat, by the way, who says Snowbird is actually an homage to Nelvana of the Northern Lights, a Canadian superhero who was one of the first female heroines predating Wonder Woman. Similar origin, and her mother is also called Nelvana. I thought, oh, that's cool. A little history for you in the chat.
That is very cool. I didn't know any of that, Siskoid.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I love that information. All right. Well, with that, I think we've got enough talk about the comic. Let's go ahead and get into the other segment we have here of who went the extra mile in this issue. And there was many to choose from in this one.
Just not Angel.
Just not Angel. So, Delvin, who went the extra mile for you?
I'll go easy. Wolverine. I just loved how, I mean, his character's still developing, but it just said a lot where he fought every instinct to be that animal and instead related to Snowbird as a human being. And if it weren't for that, they may not have been able to recover Snowbird at the end of it. That was really, really cool and touching. So I like that. That is something that a leader can do. A lot of times, you know, a leader, somebody comes in front of them and like in their head, you're like, I don't feel like dealing with this person. This person's a pain in my butt. But then like your leadership instinct kicks in and you're like, how am I going to take care of this person? How am I going to make this person better or make this person whole? And that's what Wolverine did. It was really cool.
Yeah, definitely. Jared.
I'll take the other side of that coin and say Snowbird. I already told you I was impressed with her. I'm like, what a cool power set. It's good storytelling. Like I said, if there's any sort of complaint about old comic books and kind of how they treat girls, there's a lot of times they're just kind of sideline characters. She stopped the Wendigo.
Yeah.
And her power set, and that raised my eyebrows. Like, she's got this power set that's very interesting. And just in the short time we got to know her, we saw her. And I'm not so sure about this Wolverine guy. From that to this Wolverine guy might be all right, you know. So we got to see a little into her personality. Anyway, I like Snowbird.
Yeah, I definitely agree with both of you guys. So you've took my 1 and my 2. So I'm going to go with my number 3 choice, and that was Kirk.
Oh
no, I'm going to go with Kirk just because he had the whereabouts to think about when he's getting attacked. He's just like, oh, I got to, you know, use the skills that I know. I can do my acrobats and I can do this and all that, you know, just so I'm not getting pummeled by this guy. I thought that was very good of him to do because, you know, he's learning and he's, you know, amping himself up to be a better person or just a better fighter or a thoughtful, tactical fighter. Let's put it yes.
And kudos to Claremont once again, because part of me was thinking, well, it's dark and it's the woods and you've got that blending power. You know, why don't you use it? But he was smart enough to know Wendigo can literally sniff me out. Yeah. He will sniff me out. He can, you know, he's a hunter. Ain't going to work. And I was like, yeah, good call. Claremont's, he's on fire on this one.
Yeah, definitely. Well, speaking about being on fire, why don't we find out how fire is he with our rating system on this issue? It's a 1 through 5 rating on this one. 5 is you loved it. It gave you a ring to swing from. 4, you really liked it. 3, liked it. 2, didn't like it. And 1, you hated it. It turned you into a little baby. Let's find out. Delvin, 1 through 5.
Very easy 5. Like, I'm just sitting there, like, there's just too many good moments. Great artwork, fantastic story, awesome action, great character development, really good cliffhanger starting that next new adventure with the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, which is always a good foe for X-Men from back in issue 1 days of X-Men lore. So fantastic issue. It was a 5 for me.
Jared.
Is everybody sitting down?
I think so.
I'm going to give this as my first X-Men 5.
Ooh.
It still a dense read, but didn't feel like homework. Great character developments. Made me interested in Alpha Flight characters. Had a great cliffhanger ending, and the art was perfect. I'm going to give it a 5.
Nice.
I'll let y'all take a minute, and then we'll continue the show once you've collected yourselves.
Yeah, that deserves a moment of silence.
Oh, well, guess what, guys? We are going to get up again on this one. And everybody get up.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 will make you get down.
Get on down.
I got to point out Jason Keene in the chat. He said, after I revealed my 5, he said, I'm proud of you. I mean, Jason is proud of you. So the mystery continues. Jason Keene, the Weasel Skull? I don't know. I know he's the Weasel Skull.
I think the facial hair is the throw off. It's like, I know the Albrecht boys can't grow facial hair. So that's,
You can always find pictures like that out there.
Kathy mentions in the chat, like all the comics, she hasn't read it, so she has to defer. At some point, we're going to get her to crack. She's going to get the Marvel Unlimited subscription.
And there you go, Kathy. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's a perfect Crusaders gift of whoever pulled her name, or at least a volume of an X book or something.
She's got a few comics, I believe that our friend, the Battle Wagon, gifted Kathy her very first comic book.
Oh, nice. All right. Well, with that, that's going to bring us to the end of this part of the show. You got a comment or a question? Send us an email at contact@longboxcrusade.com or make a comment on the Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook page. You can also leave us a voicemail that we may play later on in the show. Leave us a message at 707-532-5269. That's 707-532-LBOX.
Pick up the phone.
We're going to be right back.
Oh, adolescents this generation have no respect and are a far cry from my sweet Jane Eyre and her friend Helen Burns. Why, just this afternoon I was
Stella?
across, and you know what? Men too. Well,
Stella?
serious men like the tragic Mr. Rochester and teachers, Pa! They're all like the villainous Mr. Brocklehurst. Hey, Stella! Yes, Thomas?
As much as I enjoy, indulging your insanity, we have a promo to record.
Oh dear, and what might that be?
That is you and I telling everyone that we have a brand new podcast out there. It's called Required Reading with Tom and Stella. Once a month, we will take a look at a single work of literature, discuss it, analyze it, and determine if it's worth its place in the canon.
Oh dear, that sounds delightful.
Oh, I'm sure it will be. And you can find us on the Two True Freaks Network, which is at twotruefreaks.com.
Oh yes, Required Reading with Tom and... Why is it Tom and Stella? Why can't it be Stella and Tom?
It rolls off the tongue better?
Okay.
Well, that was easy. So, Required Reading with Tom and Stella at twotruefreaks.com. Thanks for contributing to the promo there. You did a great job.
Oh, you are so welcome.
Welcome back from the break. Now, let's get to the feedback part of the show where we share your comments, emails, questions, and shares in a segment called Crusader Comments. We're thrilled to kick off these comments with special shout-outs to our Crusaders Club members. These are the fine folks that have joined our crusade. They enjoy early access to special Longbox episodes, voting to help determine show content, and so much more. These are the folks reaping the benefits and giving some much appreciated support to the show.
And Helica the Wendigo Wolf. Ow!
Elber and Elvis.
Blast it or stash it.
Braxton Underwood.
Captain Entropy.
Clinton Robeson.
It's my turn. It happens to one of us every episode. It was me this time. That means it's Dave Collins. You know him as the Battle Wagon. Or if you're an old school listener, that wizard's just a crazy old man.
Making a comeback. Classic Dave. Ezra Gallo.
Gary V.
Gene Hendricks.
Gerald Green.
Jason Keene. Jason Keene, I think.
Oh, it's Jason Lady.
Jeremy L.
Jim Jummer, and I hope you like Jim Jarman too.
Joe Thomas.
John Watson.
Just got back from his retirement. It's worth mentioning he just retired from the Air Force after a 20-year career. He is now retired Major John Watson. Congratulations, my friend.
Let's
Josh.
Make us 20. Okay.
It makes us friends of a person who retired. Josh Strickland.
Candace Ward.
Kathy Bright. MVP.
Oh.
Mark Ross.
Maxwell Traver.
Miranda W.
P.D. Devins.
Paul Hicks.
Rick from Jeff and Rick Present.
Rob Morgan.
Ryan Daly.
Samantha Maney.
Sean Urbanski.
Spidey 67.
Spreadsheet.
Steve Cronin.
Tim Price.
Tony Pennington.
Last, but certainly not least, the Toronto Cop. If we missed anyone on our list, we apologize. Keep in mind that we record these episodes well in advance of release, so if you're a recent addition, we should be adding you soon, but still, no worries. Just let us know that we missed you by sending an email to contact@longboxcrusade.com and we will get it straightened out. I did not even look at the script when I said that. Oh my goodness. As a reminder, you can become a Crusaders Club member by heading over to patreon.com/longboxcrusade. For as little as $1 a month, you will get access to the amazing world of the Crusaders Club. Please come check it out. Don't have any extra scratch lying around, but still want to help us out here at LBC headquarters? Please take a moment to write a review on Apple Podcasts for this podcast. Even if you just want to keep it short with just our ratings, it helps raise the profile of the show, and we will share your review on the next show. For now, y'all, we don't have anything at this time as episode 65 has not been released at the time of this recording. But if you're listening live, we would love for you to hit the like button. If you have not subscribed, we would love for you to hit the subscribe button on YouTube as well. And maybe if you want to take some time to go do an iTunes review, if you have not ever done one before and you have Apple products, please go do so. We would love to get any of that feedback from you because it just helps elevate the profile of the show. And once again, not necessarily in it for the money. We're more into it for the camaraderie and friendship and the money. Did I say the money out loud?
Yeah.
Dang it. Ruined the sincerity. Thank you to everyone for any likes, shares, follows, and comments that you have ever done. We appreciate your friendship and your help in spreading the word about this podcast.
And that's the show. Be sure to check out the website longboxcrusade.com where posts will be made for journaling this crusade. I want to thank Jared and Delvin for joining me this episode. But before we go, let's find out where the listeners can find us on the internet. Jared, where can you be found?
I am at Yard Sale Artist. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. It's all at Yard Sale Artist. You can check out my wares at www.theyardsaleartist.com. Delvin.
You can find me on Twitter at DEE_RAY1977. And just in case Twitter happens to go down in flames for whatever reason, you can find me on Instagram at Delvin Ray, DELVINRAY. And yeah, come check me out. Pat.
Well, Delvin, I am glad you asked. You can find me on the Twitter at Christatos01. And if you want to interact with us via live chat and be entered to win some free stuff on our live raffles, like being a part of this live recording that we're doing right now. I mean, right now, someone's going to win. I'm so excited. Are you excited, Jared?
Yes.
Awesome. I love the enthusiasm. Please join us for our next episode of Doing It live stream on YouTube. It's the second Sunday of every month at around 3:30 p.m. Central Time. Check it out at Longbox Crusade on YouTube. Please subscribe to our channel and click the bell so you'll get reminder notification of when we go live. Thank you for listening, and we hope you have enjoyed this episode of Amazing Spider-Man Chronicles. You got a comment or a question? Email us at contact@longboxcrusade.com or leave a comment on the Longbox Crusade Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter pages, all at Longbox Crusade. Until next time, take care, and please join us on the next episode as we continue on the crusade to
read them
all. Oreo.
Oreo.
All right.
The intro music is provided by musical genius Joe November.
Check out his SoundCloud at JOSEFLIN99. You won't regret it.
All songs, song clips, and characters discussed are copyright of their respective copyright holders, and no infringement is intended. We are just fans that like to share our love of comics.
Outtakes. Last night was incredible. As you can tell, I yelled my head off. My voice is sexy Jared voice. This is Matt Pinfield. Welcome to 120 Minutes. Is it 120 Minutes? Is that right? Said it was a late night last night. Cold in the stadium. Yelled my head off. My football team won. It was a great time.
How cold was it?
Are you setting me up for like a joke?
No, I'm just
cold
asking.
Was it?
How cold was it?
It wasn't Wisconsin cold, Pat.
Okay.
It was like 40, but breezy.
Oh.
Look, I saw it and was like, it's cold. Wisconsin, that's like summer.
That's out mowing his lawn and his shorts like. He's listening to Bobby McFerrin tunes, mowing his lawn.
Is the song I wrote.
I am enjoying Milo's Southern Sweet Tea. This is the sugar-free version.
Oh, everybody goes to Milo's.
I went to Milo's. I had Milo's for lunch on Friday.
I went to Milo's.
We'd love them to be.
I went to Milo's before too, and I got some lumber. I also was looking for some other stuff.
I think that's just Lowe's. Oh, you're saying Milo's. I get it.
Yeah.
Clever.
Somewhat.
It's been 2 weeks, y'all. I had a lot of, you're
saying this got all ramped up.
Jokes and bits. Pins up.
See Delvin driving in his car, just like, yeah, when you come, when you go. Am I right?
Bits and bits.
Trash can. Am I right? No, nobody said anything.
Trash can's always the right answer.
Yeah, of course it is. Editor was Alan Milgram. There you are.
Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry, Siri. I'm not talking to you right now. But can
Siri?
That's right, Pat. We're gonna have to hide you, I guess.
That's fine. I like the way you're popping up. I'm trying to pop up, but I can't.
All right.
There's a lot of paragraphs.
I'm sure it's fine.
You remember when Jason was like, yeah, I used to have long ones, and then I started getting good at writing.
He figured because he wasn't here, he would get away with
it.
He's going to hear this and roll his eyes like, you guys, you never give me a break. And it's true. We don't, but we love them. All right.
Because, if you're Crusaders Club member, you don't even have to be present to win.
No.
You just automatically get entered for a special prize for every live stream. It's just one of the many benefits.
Part of all that access you get.
I think you get like 86% of the access.
No,
Jared, you're wrong.
Jared.
You're wrong.
Oh.
You didn't know that?
Oh. Is it more than 80s?
It is more than 80.
Oh, is it all the access?
It is. It's all the access and then some. So while we're waiting, as you said, you had a little bit. Well, I guess I won't say anything anymore. Surprise. Really ruined the joke I was going to.
Oh.
So. I was going to say, what did the janitor say when he came out of the closet? Supplies.
Supplies.
I ruined it. Yeah, I'm bad. I'm not good.